Good morning and welcome to episode 6 of season 2. If you've just joined us, this is Robin at A Tired Witch on Instagram and Maria the Arcane on Instagram. Today we have a special guest, J. Allen Cross of Oregon Wood Witch and the author of American Brujeria.
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So I am here, of course, in my home state of Oregon, which I love dearly. I am a practicing witch of Mexican, Native American, and European descent. So I spend a lot of my time practicing something that I like to call American Brujeria, as well as, writing when I can. I do have a new book coming out, of course, called American Brujeria, and hopefully some more to come as well. So I spend a lot of my time just trying to be magical and writing the magical things.
I love that. I plugged your book, I think our last episode, actually, because I'm very excited about it. Did I? I think it's going to be very good. It's going to be a very interesting perspective, in my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the cover is absolutely beautiful, like 10 out of 10. So good.
You can't see it, but I'm doing glad. Chef's kiss hands.
Chef's kiss.
I should be getting my actual physical copies here in the next couple of weeks. And I'm very, very excited.
For my book, I think mine are coming soon too. And I think that's the most exciting thing, wouldn't you say? Like for that to come in, because then you get to hold it.
Yeah, it's actually having it in your hands.
It's going to be, I don't know about, are you going to cry? Because I'm going to cry.
Oh, I'm definitely going to cry. I'm already crying. I'm ready for it.
Oh, good. You have a podcast too, right?
I do. We recently launched one. It's me and my friend Britton Boyd, also known as at Archaic Honey on Instagram. Her and I have started a new podcast called Invoking Witchcraft, which we kind of tend to dive into sort of the folk magic end. And we really aim to sort of bring you the real work outside of, what you hear about on social media and all this stuff, which is just terrible misinformation right now. We're attempting to kind of be a voice of reason in the community, which is so far well received. I'm certain it will get us some hate, but so far it's going well.
Well, the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter what your practice looks like. Like, people are going to have a problem with it at some point. So,
oh yeah,
oh absolutely. And hell hath no fury like somebody who's been told that witchcraft requires any effort at all.
Hell hath no fury like a 16-year-old who's been told they actually have to read a book.
Yes.
Wait. You mean I can't just set an intention and it just comes
intention is actually everything, Maria. Didn't you know that?
I mean,
absolutely everything.
It's fine.
What is it? It's fine. So what started you on your path? Did you have anyone who inspired you or anything like that?
So for me, it was always kind of a family-based thing. So it arrived for me very early. And in fact, even as a small child, I was very aware of what it is and what it means for me. So I was, I knew that we were magical, but for me, the word witch seemed very correct very early on. So I adopted it as early as like 6 or 7. And I knew that it would mean that I would have to go out into the world and use these abilities that I was given to help people and to guide people. So even at a very, very young age, I was very aware of what it all sort of meant for me. So I've been pretty much heading to where I am now since the very beginning. I grew up in a magical family. Not many of them would necessarily call themselves witches, though I do have cousins and my mother and a bunch of people in my family who do identify as witches. We also have channelers and, psychics of varying degrees, things like that. So my family was definitely magical growing up. I have a mother who is psychic. She would read, tarot cards at our dining room table for friends at night. I remember, blue candles full of black glass to banish people. This was all in my upbringing. And then, of course, I have my grandmother who surprise, surprise, was not a witch that you couldn't burn. She was, in fact, a devoutly Mormon woman, but she was a visionary. And so she would go to temple and she would pray, and then she would receive visions. And she would say that she heard the voice of God, and he would guide her. And he was generally correct. She would be like, oh, our Heavenly Father is telling me that I need to go do this. And there would always be a very profound reason for it. We, of course, thought she was crazy, but she was seldom wrong. So,
well, people who are in tune with that aspect of themselves, if they have it, often are labeled as crazy. So,
yeah,
it is the struggle, isn't it?
I love that you were raised in a magical household. I'm always so jealous of hearing stories like that. I'm trying to do the same for my witchling. So she's around it and she, comes into her magical self. So it's always good to see.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I appreciate that.
If you've just joined us this week, every week we talk about the closest upcoming major lunar phase and kind of what that means for us in terms of magic and the energies that we can hone in for our magic. So coming up next is on March 28th, which is the full moon in Libra. And kind of to summarize this moon, if you are familiar with tarot, looking very closely at the Justice card is kind of the same sort of energies that we're looking at. So we're looking at imbalances and balances, legal matters, kind of working with magic to end conflict or chaos in our lives. It's really kind of trying to find that balance again. And of course, obviously, a singular lunar phase isn't going to solve all the world's chaos, but we can use its energy to focus in on a single imbalance in our lives that we want to tackle. So this would be the perfect time to do that. Looking at... I want to say baneful magic, but it's not baneful magic. Looking at magic that essentially is going to tackle maybe getting your coworkers to stop gossiping about you. Getting, people or even yourself who consider themselves emotionally unavailable to maybe open up a little bit more. This would be a really good time to focus on that sort of energy. I'm trying to think of the right word. Like mantras that like yogis use. My best friend Ashley. Yeah, you do it
favorite.
too. Ash
Your absolute favorite.
You do fucking affirmations, and I hate them so much. But all right, we're going to give affirmations the benefit of the doubt right now, even though I think they're the worst. This would be a time to use affirmations to say shit like, oh, I'm balanced, I'm fair, blah, blah, blah. I don't use affirmations in my practice, but if you do, that would be the time to use them. Because I hate them. I think they're just garbage.
God, you're so lame.
I'm so anti-affirmations. I'm never going to like them. Okay? They're very namaste, crunchy granola, whatever for me.
Hey. I use shadow work affirmations, so it's not all like, love and light. She's over
lying.
here.
She's
Robin.
got those little fucking post-it notes in her office that say shit like
talk about my post-it notes
that say shit like not before my coffee.
So rude. Anyways, honestly, think that this moon I'm going to charge my altar mirror, the mirror that I use to like bounce negative energy off of, like, for gossiping and all that. I think this phase would be, this moon in Libra would be a good time to do that.
I don't disagree. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. Jay, do you like affirmations?
I do in certain context. I find that they're really helpful for self-love work, simply just to counteract the messages we've heard our entire life. It's nice to hear, our own voice say something nice about ourselves. So I do think that there is a place for them.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, but I do hate them. I hate them so much. All of our poor listeners are just like, Robin is a cyberbully.
You're a strong Robin. You are
Oh my God, fuck off.
So, if you just started listening to us, every podcast we talk about a random tarot card. We go over the universal meaning and then our own interpretations of the cards. Hearing others' opinions helps beginners form their own opinions, or even those who have been practicing for a while expand their views on other meanings. This week, we are talking about the Eight of Pentacles. On this card, you will see a figure hard at work, dedicated to their task, making pentacles at their workbench. These pentacles are imperfect. You can tell they are in the process of perfecting them and learning. The universal keywords of this card are mastery, skill, development, hard work, and dedication. When this card comes up in readings for myself and clients, it shows that we are dedicated to making something work. When it comes to an external goal, we will try over and over again until we get it right, or be willing to put in the long hours to bring what we want to fruition. It is important to note that we should expect not to get things right away, because we are learning as we are going, and that's okay. But, each time that we work towards this goal we are heading towards, we are improving it and perfecting our final product. It is also important to note that when this card is upright and in a negative position, it can show overworking and being too laser focused on one part of our lives, that we may also be expecting a certain result that isn't actually possible, which is making us absolutely frustrated, or alternatively, just doing dull, repetitive work that we aren't really passionate about, so we're doing it half-assed. If any of that is the case, it may be time to take a break and take a breather and to start to consider how you can handle these tasks in a healthier manner. So, how do you view this card, Robin, dear?
For me, the Eight of Pentacles is a massive ego check card. Like when college students take one psych class and then they think that they know as much as a therapist. And they're just psychoanalyzing you, right? Or they read actually in witchcraft, they read one beginner book and now they think that they should be running a Patreon. It is a huge ego check that tells you that you are on the right direction. You are going in the right path, but you are at the very beginning of that. So have a word with yourself, have a seat and continue to learn, because you actually don't know everything and you need to chill the fuck out. Yeah, so for me, it is very much so an ego check card. Most times when I see it, it is reminding people to not count their chickens before they're hatched. In love, for example, it often comes up because you've been dating somebody for 2 weeks and you want to know if you're going to get married. And it's you don't even know what his mother's name is yet. That's oftentimes when I see it come up. And it does tell us that there's potential and that, you are on a path that can lead to something, but you have to continue to put in the work and, not get ahead of yourself and think that your shit doesn't stink. I hope that makes sense.
That makes sense.
What about you, Jay?
This one is always an interesting one, and I've always really liked it because it really makes room to allow people to be learners, to be beginners, and to, try something out. And you can see in this card that, he has several of them that are hung up and they're very pretty, but he has other ones that are kind of thrown on the ground. And it just kind of shows that, we're not all going to be perfect at something, but it's about trying. At the same time, too, I really find that there's so much wisdom in kind of the background of the tarot. And so I love that you can see that behind this person, there's this little city. that they've sort of removed themselves from in order to do this work. And I think that's important too. Sometimes you have to sort of step away from the crowd, step away from the social media, and actually work on something by yourself. And I think that's really important when it comes to witchcraft as well, to kind of get away from all the chatter and actually go and do the work. Because I find that then you will have so much more benefit to your practice.
I love that.
Yeah, I think that's really a really good interpretation.
100%. I like that.
We love this card. We do.
So, even though the spring equinox is Saturday and this episode is released on the Friday before, happy spring equinox, everyone. So, flowers are blooming, the grass and trees and some animals are returning from hibernation. And now, after going through the season of reflection, we can start putting work towards our fresh starts and embrace new beginnings. This is a great time to go out and celebrate Mother Earth in all her glory. And if you are anywhere like where I live, this is like the perfect moment to do so because the plants haven't actually really started orgasming yet. So that green shit isn't everywhere. So what are you guys' plans?
We have twin brains because I immediately was like, is this going to be our horniest episode ever? Any opportunity I get. Like, honestly, I should be banned from the internet.
Every episode is our horniest episode ever.
Every episode is the horniest episode when it's this time of the year. So what's up, guys? Let's talk about sex. No, I'm just kidding. Let's not.
And you wonder why you got a vibrator sponsor.
That they heard us on one episode and they went, this bitch is fucking horny, man. Let's send her something to shut her up. So on that note.
Okay.
Spring is really horny though. It is, like, symbolically, it is very horny. It is the time of year where the ground is getting like ripened and fertilized and the seeds are getting their little tendrils out to grow and stuff. I mean, not where I live right now, and I'm assuming it's very similar for Jay. We've been like in a doom and gloom hellscape for the last like 4 months, and it's still freezing and it's still like snow and rain.
Yes.
And
this is a very cold, mild spring, but for me, it's kind of turned into a second fall, and I love that. For me, I'm going back to scarves
the exact same thing.
Pumpkin
like
pie spice everything.
Yeah, it's like it's not so cold on some days where you need a jacket, but then it is so cold at nighttime where like you want to put the heater on, and so it is very fallish. So I was thinking that like a week ago. But yeah, so spring magic, in my opinion, is very horny. That's when all the animals start doing their biz, right? And so, I mean, they do. I saw a baby cow get born like 3 days ago. It was the craziest experience in my entire life. I cried and then immediately called my husband and just screamed at him for like 3 minutes, being like, I saw this cow. And he was like, why are you yelling? But yeah, so for me, spring magic is very much so honing in that kind of energy. Not necessarily fucking, okay, everybody chill out. But it is that sort of fertile energy. It's creating things. It's bringing life into stuff that maybe wasn't there before. It is respecting not just nature, although I believe we should be doing that 365 days of the year.
Yeah.
It is kind of, you know, getting your hands dirty and planting your garden. Like that in and of itself, in my opinion, can be very magical.
Honestly, it has like a very big Empress like energy, you know, the tarot card. Yeah.
And the Empress is very horny. You can't change my mind, guys.
She's so horny in her moo-moo.
Listen, there's nothing that says I'm down to fuck like a moo-moo, okay? And you cannot change my mind.
Hey. I love those dresses. I am here for it. So how about you, Jay? What do you do around the spring equinox?
All kinds of things. Right now, what's kind of happening with my clients is we are making a lot of babies because you're right. This is a very kind of a fertile time of year. So I have a lot of people right now who are coming to me who are either having trouble getting pregnant or, you know, kind of having some other issues. And so we've been working together on that. And we've been having some great success. A lot of people don't realize that similar to like the phases of the moon, we can also use the phases of the season as a way to kind of empower our work. And so once we step into kind of like the spring energy, the spring is all about kind of bringing forth, you know, waking things up. And so even if it's, you know, not specifically fertility in the way of making babies, but as far as, you know, making investments and doing, you know, money magic in that way too. This idea of planting seeds and having them grow throughout the season is wonderful.
Well, I will keep that in mind because I am shit at fertility magic. I never claimed to be good at it. And when people come to me, I will send them your direction because my ass has never been good at it. It is my weakness.
I do a lot of like egg and eggshell like spells around this time. You know, when it comes to like cleansing my house, I sweep the eggshells from the back of my home to the front, and then doing a lot of eggshell growth spells, you know, like when you put your intention in the shell and you bury it. And my wife and I like to plan out this huge feast, you know, with all the fixings, and we try to spend as much time as we can outside. And
these
like,
girls and their Sabbath feasts.
Any reason to eat, okay? But anyways, and I also find like this season is such a great time to get like witchlings involved in the fun. They can, you know, paint eggs with runes or sigils and use color correspondences for the intentions they want to set. I mean, hell, like adults can participate in that too, because part of magic, you know, is embracing our inner child and all that. And they can also gather wildflowers for the altar. It's honestly so cute and wholesome to see them like participate and feel like they are contributing to the magic of the season.
I also really strongly believe in spring cleaning. Not just in a like physical sense, but also in like a magical sense. I do personally believe in cleansing your home on a regular basis, not just annually. I think that if you just do it annually, maybe consider, I don't know, doing it more. And I'm trying to tell you how to live your life, but I would consider it. But for me, I do like a really deep spring clean. Like I do like the full like floor washes. I do like I make like a powder for my floor, and I will sweep that through the house, and then I'll go over it with a floor wash. And we fully clean this whole house. It smells so heavily of incense and like floor washes and Florida water and all that in this house. By the time it's done, you got to open the windows just to like not die of a perfume overload. I really like rose water a lot for cleansing. I don't know if you guys use that ever.
Oh, I do. I love rose water. 100%.
And I get my rose water. I know that you can make it yourself, but I've never perfected making rose water myself and it not going kind of like gross. So I always buy it pre-made, and there is a Botanica in Oakland that I get mine from. And it is really just, I don't know if they add like a perfume to it. They say they don't, but it's so rosy that they have to. Like, they must.
Okay. You're going to have to, like, send me the name of the shop.
I will. I'll just send you a bottle. I have, like, 4 bottles.
Yes, please.
But it's really, really rose heavy, and it makes my whole house smell like an old lady, and I love it.
I love old lady smell.
Me too.
10 out of 10.
I mean, not so much like the musty smell, but like the rose is nice. I don't really want my house smelling like Chanel No. 5, but like a nice like rose and like potpourri bowl is a nice smell.
That's so funny. Perfect.
Do you, Jay, do you do like anything like that? Like spring cleaning of any kind?
Absolutely. Yes, I'm very into spring cleaning. I kind of have like two sections of the year where I really get into it. And one is kind of in the fall before we kind of go into that very inside time for the winter. So I like to clean kind of before then as well to make sure everything is kind of cozy for the winter. And then, of course, at the end, just kind of airing everything out. And I go ham as well. I just scrub the entire house. I make special like cleaners that I put in spray bottles that are also like magical, but also you know, serve a purpose as far as cleaning is concerned. And so I just kind of clean everything down with that, do the floors, just open all the windows and just welcoming in good air. People really discount what happens when you just air out a place, you know, both energetically and physically and how it feels. It's just wonderful.
100%.
No, I completely agree.
That's why I really like doing that around the new moon. Like, there's nothing better than a clean house when the time is right.
It's just so satisfying. It really is. And like, especially when like you can just tell the energy is like chill, the house is clean, like, you know, stuffy winter bitch. I don't know her.
Now, if I can only get my family on board, that would be perfect. 100%.
Are they not cleaners?
No. No.
Yeah. Mine's neither. My husband is a tidier and he's very good at organizing. Like getting stuff, you know, physically put in places that make a lot of sense. He's so much better at that than I am. But when it comes to actual cleaning, I'm like, get out, go away. I'm going to just do this.
Same.
Oh my goodness.
So, Jay, what is stirring your cauldron right now?
I'm personally feeling a little stirred right now just simply by that question. All the stirrings. Lately, I have been noticing something that I think is really cool, and that is young female representation in occultism. I think that is something that is fairly new. I feel like occultism has been very much dominated by men, especially older men throughout history. Right now, though, I feel like those tides are really changing, especially through work like we all know Georgina, also known as Dot Darling on the Twitter sphere, is just so educated, so well-spoken out here in this world that normally would kind of be run entirely by men. And I'm loving seeing this sort of young femme energy there that is also very educated, you know, really helping people understand this world. And it doesn't have to be coming from some old dude anymore. I think that that's really exciting to see them enter this world. And the work that she's been doing, along with like Temperance and Nike, as far as, you know, really educating people and putting out this work and, you know, the podcast, even that, you know, you guys are doing here too. This young, educated female representation in occultism right now is just giving me life. I love it.
I love that.
I love it too. I'm completely in agreement with you, especially on the Georgina front, because she is a Femalite, and that is not just predominantly, it's like 97% men. And of that, it's mostly like 40 plus year olds or like young edgelord boys who don't even know what they're talking about. They're just want to be a part of something. And I think it's really incredible. And I think she's so intelligent. I literally gas her up all the time. I think she's incredible. She's the smartest person that I know.
I had to go to her and ask her how to pronounce, I believe it's Goetia, because I don't go anywhere near any of that stuff. But I was like, can you help me out a moment? She was so nice.
I just think she's brilliant. She really is. And I think people should have their eye on her because she's really going to be an important figure, in my opinion, in the next couple of years.
Absolutely. She's going to be like our Blavatsky, like...
She's just so smart. Do you know who Georgina is, Maria?
Oh, I do. Yeah, I follow her. She's amazing. 100%. I love her content.
I just think she's so smart. I'm gonna she's gonna
agree.
listen to this and be like, wow, these guys are obsessed with me. And the answer is yes, G. We are.
But no, I completely agree. It's really great to see so many people, especially, like femmes embracing their feminine power and like stepping into the community and I don't know, just integrating. It's really great.
It's a breath of fresh air.
It is. It really is.
100%.
And I think it brings new perspective. And
100%.
not even just like Georgina or that crew. I know that there's a very toxic side to the internet, like TikTok. We all know how I feel about TikTok, the clock app. But on that note, there are actually really good creators on that app. Like that are very informative and they are like educated and giving you sources and pointing people in the right direction. And while there is, of course, a demographic of people out there who just like read Lisa Lister's Witch one time and they are like,
oh no.
And they're like, this transphobia sits right with me. Like, you know what I mean?
I have a
like,
womb, therefore a witch.
Yeah. Don't even. Anyway.
No thanks.
We pretty much only respect cisgendered women here. Like, shut the fuck up. Anyway. Aside from that, there are actual people that are younger and regardless of their gender are being very informative. And I think going exactly off what Jay said is that it is a very good breath of fresh air because it's like occultism meets modern mindset. And I find it very intriguing. Even if I don't always agree with it, I think hearing the perspective is, enlightening.
Yeah, and I love how they use their crafts towards activism in the in the community and towards creating change and not just setting intentions. They are also going out there and protesting and writing Congress people and making sure that they're doing the real world energy to cultivate the change that they desire.
Yeah, I think it's really nice. I think that's a good thing to be stirring your cauldron.
Yeah, 100%.
So, Jay, what's not stirring your cauldron?
I did not expect to be this stirred upon this podcast, to be honest. I wasn't ready. Nobody told me it would be this hot in here.
It's the horniest podcast. Like
the spring is here. Oh Lord. So for what is not stirring my cauldron right now, I have to really say it is the lack of discernment skills within our online communities. And it's not only just unfortunate, but in a lot of times I find it's very dangerous. So I've seen this in Facebook. I've seen this in Instagram. However, I have recently joined TikTok. God help me. And it's amazing to watch people just have a random person tell them something and then just have them accept it. Like, oh, okay, thank you. That's something I know. And let me tell you, I wish I had the confidence of someone giving shitty occult advice on the internet. Like, it's amazing. I'm like, God, how did you get to be this way? I want to be you. But just this inability for people to kind of pause and go, does this information sound right? Does this information, can I find this posted elsewhere that backs them up? But just people's willingness just to completely absorb and then internalize whatever random people on the internet say to them. That's very scary to me. And not only that is I'm seeing a lot of people doing things like posting in Facebook groups like, hi, I'm 19 years old and this is my location. Does anybody want to be my mentor?
No.
And then some creepy old guy is like, I'll be your mentor. And they're like, oh my God, I've been chosen. And I'm like, run, girl, run. Like,
run, bitch.
I'm like, first of all, don't post your age and your location and ask to meet up with random strangers. That's how we die.
Yeah, I feel like that occultism aside, didn't all of our parents teach us stranger danger on the internet? Hello.
Apparently not with this younger generation. Somebody missed that day. I don't know what happened, but so it does really concern me a lot looking around, the fact that people just don't think for themselves anymore. And I think that's kind of what's led us to kind of the dumpster fire that is online witchcraft.
I really think that is such a big problem, even outside of witchcraft. Like, people believing everything, as long as it's posted to either like Facebook, Twitter, or something, it is like the word of God. And it's just, you know, we were taught in school to go back, research, make sure, check your sources and all that. And just so many people are not doing it. And as you said, it's incredibly dangerous.
Not to sound like a boomer. Not to sound like a boomer, but did we fucking learn that in school? I don't remember learning that in school.
Really?
I was a George Bush child left behind, okay? Like, listen, I thought I was so smart when I was a kid, and then I took that George Bush No Child Left Behind test, and I didn't know the difference between a noun and a verb. I do now, for the record. All right. I went to college and I got a proper education, but I don't necessarily believe that we are taught that at school across the board, because I know I sure as shit wasn't. Thank you very much, Sonoma County.
But see, I went to like DOD schools, which are basically, you know, schools that are on military bases. So like,
you had a military education. That's totally different.
No, it shouldn't be. That should be like really left behind. I mean,
they take it one step further. We did not just leave her behind, but we've erased her memory from.
Oh my God. Yeah, one of the other things too on top of that is people not really realizing what sources are good information and which ones aren't. I have a lot of people cite to me just highly opinionated blogs that have no actual, you know, source material themselves, or, you know, information to back up things that they're saying. And so people aren't understanding that there are differences between things like opinions and facts, and why source material, good source material, is really important, and that someone's blog or their TikTok does not count as source material.
I completely agree. That's why I think before anything that like I post, I always say like, this is my personal opinion. This is my personal correspondences. I just, people really need to understand the difference between those two things.
Well, and even like things, for example, like our Patreon that we have, they are our opinions on magic and things we have learned and experienced. That doesn't make it like law. And I think that we have this in a general community and culture, we have this kind of air of accidentally absorbing, for lack of a better term, Wiccan concepts, in that Wicca is a structured religion and there are rules, right, to Wicca. But that doesn't mean that the whole rest of the magical community falls under that same blanket. And I think new practitioners especially accidentally forget that just because somebody said it doesn't mean that it's a law or a rule. Like, UPG exists and like that's valid, but it doesn't necessarily make it like true or real for so many paths.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I always try to stay away from this idea that there are, you know, no rules in witchcraft. And what I'm talking about with that isn't like, you know, the rule of three, or whether or not you can or can't blow out your candle or whatever it is. But it always kind of disturbs me when people are like, there are no rules in witchcraft. And I'm like, well, how about we just start off with the fact that if you're pregnant, you probably shouldn't be casting spells with rue. Like, because that's going to be very bad for you.
Or like taking a spiritual bath with mugwort.
Exactly. You know, like there are things in there for your safety. Like, you know, right now on social media, I've seen in several places people who are mixing like household chemicals into their hex jars together at random.
Shut up. Like, are you serious?
Yes. And so I'm like, you know what? I would say that there's probably a rule that says, you know, don't mix bleach and ammonia together. Like, we could all probably agree that that's a rule of witchcraft. Or like, you know, don't use too much flying ointment or else you will die. Like, you know, rules do definitely exist.
If that's how I go, that's how I go.
I'm ready. As for projecting into the afterlife.
Me and that belladonna are about to get crazy.
Oh my goodness.
No, I agree. And I also think that people are really well meant when they say things like there's no rules in witchcraft. It's supposed to be an encouraging thing, right? Mm-hmm. But the problem is that it depends on the context, of course, but it also accidentally sometimes is very dismissive of like indigenous and folk traditions where there are some rules. There is some structure there. And it's like for me, it always depends on the context. Do you know what I mean? Like if somebody's saying it to be encouraging, great. Love that. We love like people supporting other people, right? But what we don't love is for it to be used in a dismissive way. And
yeah. Well, and giving things in context, like you were saying, is so important. Like, I was taught there are no rules in witchcraft when I was very young, but it was also given to me in the context of like, if you're doing a love spell and it calls for rose petals, but you would like to use lavender, that's totally fine. Like,
absolutely.
There are no rules, not just make up whatever you want. And so I think that we inadvertently created things like witch talk by telling people there are no rules in witchcraft. Don't let anybody tell you what to do with your magic.
Way too literally.
Yeah, and none of us provided context.
God forbid you tell them to do it, and then you're gatekeeping, and it's like, I don't think you know what that word means.
Yep.
In fact, I would argue that what I'm doing right now is the exact opposite of gatekeeping because I'm informing you of how to do this better. But okay, whatever.
How to not die while doing witchcraft.
Listen, if that's how I go,
very
that's how I
important
go.
lesson.
Ready for it.
With your vibrator.
With me, my vibrator, screaming into the void, the horniest ritual ever.
Oh
my God. I'm so sorry for everyone listening to this. I really am.
No, you're not. Don't lie. She's lying.
So, if you are just joining us, every week we talk about creators, shops, artists, etc. that we are loving right now. As I say every fucking week, and I will never stop saying, if you contact us and ask to be on here for a paid promotion, I'm going to block you. And then Maria and I are going to laugh about you. We're gonna privately ostracize you. Is that what you want? I don't think that's what you want. So like, to avoid it, just don't be that guy. These are things that we are finding on our own that we are thinking are great right now. So yeah, stop doing that. We make fun of you like a lot. We literally laugh at you. So that being said, Jay, who are you loving this week?
Somebody that I've just really been digging as far as their content is concerned, their wisdom, is somebody on Instagram that I've been following who goes by @theconjurecleaner. If you are a person who is into folk magic, especially the hoodoo persuasion, highly recommend following this person. Their account is The Truth, and they put out beautiful products and have very enlightening things to say, as well as some really hysterical videos. I think that they just got on TikTok. So I highly recommend giving them a follow.
I just looked them up. Their account looks really cool. Maria, who are you loving?
So I'm loving an art account on Instagram. It's @ClarityChiArt. And just her like designs are so beautiful. And, she does a lot of like suns and moons, and it's just, I'm a sucker for gold, and she uses a lot of gold in her art. And I'm just patiently waiting for her to release a tarot deck with her lovely images, because they are so stunning.
Are you suggesting another tarot deck?
No.
And you said that I have a problem. Jeez Louise.
Shush, Robin. Stop calling me out. As we said, some people collect stamps. I collect decks. It's fine.
It's exactly the same as coin collecting.
It's fine. It's fine.
So for me this week, I'm loving an account called Brett Manning Art. So they're obviously an artist. It's in the name. but they do prints on clothing. Like they do regular print art, but they do like shawls and bodysuits, and I'm just really obsessed with their patterns. They're very like I want to say like occultism meets like Witch of the Woods. Does that make sense? In terms of like the imagery that they use, and I just think it's really great. I really want to get some of their stuff. I keep missing it because they'll do like live sales, you know, they'll be like, oh, we're live now. And then it sells out right away. And like the last pre-order that they did, I just missed it. I wasn't paying attention. But I really think their stuff is super beautiful. And I'm going to actually mirror Maria and say if they wanted to make a tarot deck, I would fucking buy it. So
I actually have a robe by Brett, and it's so soft and so comfy and so beautiful. I love it. And every time
I think it's so talented.
Anytime I wear it around friends or family, they try to steal it from me. So it's great.
Theft isn't cool, guys.
Very well made.
Theft is not cool. That is a crime, and I will send you to jail. Thank you guys for joining us this week. And we hope that we will see you on Friday, April 2nd for our 7th episode for season 2. Keep your eyes out on Instagram and on Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter at Coffee Cauldrons or Instagram Coffee and Cauldrons Pod for more information, and also some really sick memes.
Badass memes.
The sickest memes on the internet. So
not that we're partial or anything, but anyways. Or even better, you could join us on our Discord tier, Witches First Coven on Patreon, so we can answer your questions in our part 2 next time.
You'll even get to hear our sexy, sensual, lovely voices for an additional 30 minutes for being on our Patreon tier, Casting and Up. And I promise you, they're not even horny episodes. They're just like informative or whatever.
So again, this is Coffee and Cauldrons
with Robin from @ATiredWitch on Instagram.
And I'm Maria from @MariaTheArcane on Instagram.
And I am J. Allen Cross from @OregonWoodWitch on Instagram. And you can pre-order my book now. It comes out May 1st. It's called American Brujeria and is available on Amazon and bookshop.org.
Hey, all right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Wait, ready?
Yeah. One,
two, three. Bye,
witches.
Such a disaster.
I think we nailed it.